Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you're doing well. We have a new shirt over on our support page, theneedledrop.com/support. Design is fantastic. Link down there in the description box. Pick one up. All right. In this video, I'm going to be reading some Kanye tweets. Kanye West, Yeezy is back. Ahem. On the Twitter platform. Most likely because he has new music on the way very soon. A new album, new something to promote, something to tell people, product to move. It's usually when he starts getting all riled up and crazy on social media. And the fans love it. And this tweet storm, this recent tweet storm, this year's tweet storm, has been really dense, has been really thick. It's been Hurricane Kanye during this tweet storm. He's been talking about all matter of things in this recent storm, and we're going to go over a great deal of it in this video. I'm not going to have insight on every single thing that or an opinion on every single thing he's talking about here. Probably not much to say about his shoes, his boots, his clothing line, and everything like that. Not only is it just not really my forte, but I don't really care for Kanye's clothes that much. Although I'm sort of wondering if that's is that one of his shoes right there? Because that's a pretty dope looking shoe. I hope it is. That would be cool. It's a nice looking shoe. All right, guys. I'm going to head into some of these tweets over here. And just 8 or so minutes ago, Kanye West has essentially announced, and hey, it's not in stone here because it's not like Kanye hasn't announced records before on social media that never ended up coming out. So, I don't want to put too much stock into what he's saying here, but essentially he's just announced that him and Kid Cudi have a collaborative record coming out, which there has been rumor of that. So maybe this has more validity to it than I'm giving it credit for, because again, there has been talk of it. So he's sort of coming out right here, June 8th, hard date on that. Which I don't believe albums he's just kind of thrown out there have had hard release dates. Although it seems like, okay, so wait, Kanye says that he has an album coming out, and it's just 7 songs. June 1st, I imagine that's connected to that. And when he says June 8th, that's not some kind of correction or something like that. So June 1st, Kanye record, 7 songs, and then him and Kid Cudi, June 8th, and it's called Kids See Ghost. That's the name of our group. So they have a group. It's not just a duo with double billing or something like that. There's a group name there. So it's Kids See Ghost. Now, hopefully, whatever album cycles Kanye has coming up in the future, they're a little less tumultuous than the T-Lop album cycle. Not that it didn't make things interesting, it certainly did. But I'm kind of hoping that was sort of more a part of the concept of that record, and that he's not just kind of hitting fans with the same concept all over again. So let's see some of the stuff Kanye's been saying. It's not where you take things from, it's where you take them to, which I think is a pretty excellent point. I don't really have anything against the point that he's making there. I mean, because the thing is, creativity is never entirely original. You're always borrowing from somewhere. You're always inspired by something. And sure, there are lots of artists out there whose influences are super clear. They're super apparent. They're super obvious. But if you're taking those influences to an interesting place, to an amazing place, to a new and an exciting place, then those influences are not only a bad thing, but they're benefiting you. Look at To Pimp a Butterfly, for example, like the influences that runs through that record, Flying Lotus, George Clinton, some of whom are actually on the record itself. Kendrick sort of built on those influences. He took them to an interesting place. Also, shout out to my dude, nerd writer, Evan, who came out with a little Lauryn Hill video, which has been doing well. And Kanye was actually watching the frickin' video and shot footage of the video off what looks like his phone, and just him sort of enjoying Lauryn Hill's statements on just kind of being real and true to herself as a performer and as a person and as an artist. So shout out to Kanye, Lauryn Hill, and Nerd Writer, 3 worlds I never thought I'd see collide, but hell yes to that. So Kanye says we're all servants, which I don't know if that's something that he's saying generally, like across all people, across all peoples, or if he's talking merely about art and artists, because a lot of these tweets that he's been saying deal directly in art and creativity. So maybe this is more sort of off of that point. I feel like there is an argument to be made if you're kind of applying this widely, but if we're to talk about Kanye as an artist and as a creator, I feel like you most certainly have to kind of see what you're doing in that light. I mean, Jack White almost made that point on his latest record, talking about how artists are kind of serving creativity, the creative process. He says that they're copying God at one point in a track on his new album when they are, sort of borrowing ideas or sort of grabbing concepts to sort of throw into their art, throw into their creations. Artists and anybody who really makes any kind of content, really, and I feel like this is especially true in the internet age, we've all sort of become servants, people who service a community, an audience, a niche, a group of people who really care about whatever it is we do. Here's just, I guess, a generally positive tweet here. Kanye saying, today will be the greatest day so far. Life keeps getting better and better. It's good to see that he's in good spirits. Maybe this record will have, this record and the Kid Cudi record will have a much more positive and maybe kind of glorious and maybe glamorous tone. Given that it seems like a lot of Kanye's tweets are again, quite positive and quite excited. If you want to see the true character or person, watch the way they treat someone who can't do anything for them. God, that is the fucking realest shit. That is the realest shit. Yeah, because I've met so many people who are just so nice because they want something from you, and I at the end of the day, you can't be nice to everybody. You don't have time for everybody. You can't spread yourself so thin that you're devoting yourself to every person in every relationship. There is that. And the thing is, it does make sense at the end of the day to sort of try to limit your social circle and limit your life to the people who care about you the most, who love you the most. But if in casual conversations or if in work settings or in creative settings, if you cross paths with or if you come into contact with somebody who, again, you can't get anything from them, they're not helping you or whatever, and you don't have the human decency to be polite and nice to that person, just be kind to that person, just treat that person with the respect that you would treat anybody else with, you're probably just human fucking garbage. That's a great tweet. That is a great point. Let's see. Truth is my goal. Controversy is my gym. I'll do 100 reps of controversy for a 6-pack of truth. It's a little corny, but that's most certainly Kanye. That's maybe Kanye's personality to a T. Don't trade your authenticity for approval. Yes, that's absolutely fucking true. Actually, this tweet could be longer because there are a lot of things you really should not trade your authenticity for. Your authenticity for and the trust that you have with your audience as well as a creator, as a storyteller, as a journalist, really as anything, because people who watch or consume whatever it is that you do, they put faith in what you're doing. And if you take your authenticity or if you take whatever it is, the value that is in the work that you do and trade it off for, I don't know what, mainstream success, trade it off for trying to appeal to a lowest common denominator, trying to appeal to, I don't know, people who typically don't like you, it's really not worth it. And you end up kind of selling short what it is you do. Moving on from there, let's be less concerned with ownership of ideas. It is important that ideas see the light of day, even if you don't get credit for them. Let's be less concerned with credit, awards, and external validation. Now, I had my own personal reaction to this tweet because there were some people saying, oh, well, I think Kanye is talking about, let's say, hey, it doesn't really matter where ideas are coming from as far as influences. That's not really a big deal. Although the latter part of this tweet leads me to believe that there's something a little bit more contemporary about the point that he's trying to make here. Let's be concerned with credit awards. Let's be less concerned with credit awards and external validation, meaning that somebody is alive right now trying to seek validation for something that they did, which at the end of the day, I feel like people should get credit for the things that they do. And I feel like this is a little bit of a tone deaf statement to make, especially in a sector of the music industry where you have producers being underpaid so much. You have people who are ghostwriting. You have people who have 6, 7, 8 people credited as songwriting or producing or having some kind of input on a song. And you don't even really know if that's just the tip of the iceberg of the people who have had input on a track. I feel like there's almost like a shadow wing of the industry where you have people writing, producing, creating songs, passing them off to other people, and you don't even really know what the source material you don't even really know what the source of the material is at the end of the day, because just like with the pop industry, you have so many people working behind the scenes just to make sure that songs are sort of these concise, super commercial, groomed to be successful products that are going to continue to top the charts because hip hop is just kind of reining it in, like raining all over the fucking charts right now. So I feel like people do have justified skepticism when it comes to who's writing what, who's performing what, who's making what, because it does all kind of get confusing at the end of the day. You know, you have tracks coming out now where you have great vocal performances or guest vocals, and you don't even see a feature credit on the song title. And yet there are feature credits on other titles on the very same album. So it can get a little annoying, you know. And I feel like we need more transparency. We need more liner notes. We need more credits given to people. I mean, obviously, people need to be able to kind of swallow their pride sometimes because, hey, you know, you might have produced a track or done a backup vocal on a track or something, but at the end of the day, you know, if it's a Kanye song, it's a Kanye song, you know, and he's going to be the person who is kind of credited with the greatness of that track, and he's obviously the person who's kind of overseeing the overall creative direction of the track. Next one, I find myself getting stuck in the idea of originality and letting my ego push me to say things like, this person stole this from me, and the funny thing is, it'll be a reference I took from somewhere. That's absolutely true. Again, nothing is 100% original. You're always being influenced by something. And originality is certainly an idea that you can get hung up on as an artist, but also as a music fan and somebody who reviews and covers music regularly as well. I mean, I always seek to hear something original. It's always exciting to hear something original, but again, it's always difficult to be 100% original. And sometimes originality can be a little overrated because, you know, a lot of the time what sells music, even for people who can be as picky as me, is familiarity, you know? And again, as original as I say some things are, like some of my favorite artists still hold to traditional song structures, chromatic scale, the chords that we've all heard a million times before, so on and so forth. So, you know, originality is kind of a tricky beast. I feel like it's just like anything else. You know, I feel like there's such a thing as too much, there's such a thing as too little. And I guess if I have one more opinion on originality, it's that typically the artists who I think are original, or at least bordering on original, or have a great sort of balance of originality, are ones who, through whatever sort of genre they're creating in, they feel like they're being themselves. They feel like they're truly being them. I feel like their music truly represents them and who they are. And you know, if you're yourself, if you're true to yourself in your art, no matter what it is you're creating, you're going to be closer to originality than a lot of people, because at the end of the day, nobody is truly you. You know, only you are yourself. So only you can be you. You know, maybe if at the end of the day, you being you doesn't come out that original, and maybe the problem there is that you need more experience. You need to sort of go out there and have more life events. Expose yourself to more stimuli so that you have more unique and interesting ideas. But cars have 4 wheels, hoodies have hoods. It's amusing to me when someone says, this is an original hoodie. Bro, it's a hoodie. That's true. Too much emphasis is put on originality. Feel free to take ideas, update them at your will. Great artists take and update. That's absolutely true. That's what great artists do. Some of my favorite artists, some of my favorites, period. Not only sample things, but have blatantly ripped ideas off of songs. Take their favorite records into the studio or into a writing session with them, and they're like, this is what I want to copy, or this is like my inspiration, or something like that. LCD Sound System, prime example. Like there are numerous tracks in the LCD Sound System discography that you could be like, whoa, this song pretty much rips off this Talking Heads track, or this song rips off this Bowie track, or this song rips off this Velvet Underground track, or this song rips off this other track. But the thing is, James takes a lot of those ideas, James in the band, and he updates them. He brings them to interesting places. He lays different lyrical ideas. He has a different sort of production style, and it all kind of ends up working under the LCD umbrella. So that's absolutely what creativity is. You know, it's not that you can't be inspired. It's that you have to take those ideas and bring them them somewhere else. There's love stories, pain, happiness. It's three-dimensional. There's taste, touch, sound. It's the most entertaining form of, I imagine he's trying to say, entertainment. Just being. We believe time is a man-made construct. Actually, time and money are both man-made currency because you can spend them both. Yeah, that's true. Time is money, as they say, and you can spend both. Be here now, in the moment. The now is the greatest moment of our lives, and it just keeps getting better. The bad parts, the boring parts, the parts with high anxiety, embrace every moment for its greatness. This is life. This is the greatest movie we'll ever see. I enjoy the positivity of this tweet, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm a bit of a pessimist, or I feel like I've been becoming more of a pessimist lately, given the current social climate. However, I do sort of vibe with what Kanye's saying about the bad parts, the low parts, the high anxiety parts, because, you know, I do feel like there is something to experiencing lows that kind of gives you character and gives you perspective and gives you an understanding of really how the world works and how best to conduct yourself. So while I wouldn't exactly argue that every part is the greatest, every moment can be a learning experience. And if life was filled with nothing but just like positives and highs, then what would be the fucking point of anything? Let's see. Me and my friend Anthony Schiller always ask questions about time. Is time linear? I recently did an interview where I placed high value on time. Everything means nothing until you make it something. You are your validator. To answer that question, time is absolutely linear. Time is absolutely linear. People always make this really ridiculous and reductive argument that time is cyclical and time repeats itself and when really no, that's not true at all. That's not true at all. Sure, are there patterns of human behavior? Yes. If anything, people are stuck in the cycle. When people say, "Oh, you know, time is cyclical," really what's happening is people's dumb patterns kind of end up getting caught up again and again and again and again in the same BS because we don't learn from our mistakes. We live in the United States of amnesia. So that's not time. There's nothing to do with time. What is linear is time. Time is always moving forward. Time is not moving backwards, and fuck all if time actually ends up curving and going around in a circle. Time is always moving in one direction. And even as human follies kind of drive us into the same cycles over and over and over and over, you still have other advancements and alterations to the timeline and to the context that we live in happening either in the background or the foreground of that. Sure, you might have wars and you might have dictators and you might have people cheating on you, and you might have a million other things that have been written about and sung about and historically documented again and again and again and again. But also in the backdrop of these things, you have different countries and societies, you have different technology, you have different art, you have different this and that, and style and fashion and weather patterns and everything. So time is always moving forward. Time is always moving forward. It's not a cycle. It's not anything else but linear. I will work on this book when I feel like it. When we still, when we sit still in mornings, we get hit with so many ideas and have so many things we want to express. When I read this tweet to myself, I didn't like how much I used the word I, so I changed the I's to we's. By the way, this is my book that I'm writing when in real time. Okay, so Kanye's tweet storm is pretty much a book. No publisher or publicist will tell me what to put where, how many pages to write. This is not a financial opportunity. This is an innate need to be expressive. Everyone will say he needs to learn how to act. At home, parental acting classes are one of the first steps to us losing, I imagine he's trying to say, who we really are to the simulation. Parents are our first acting coaches. So Kanye kind of getting a little parental there in his tweet. And I would say about the parenting process, it's not just kind of it's not just kind of a one-way street. Parents learn quite a bit in the process of raising children as well. And I feel like Kanye, we're probably going to see more of that in his music as he kind of grows as a father and as a family man, because T-Lop had so many themes of family. And I feel like it's probably only going to intensify as that continues to consume his life more and more. Not in a negative way. Kanye is going to grow more into the role of a father, most likely. Because there were a lot of themes on T-Lop of kind of, which side am I on? Which one am I going to pick? I'm kind of on the fence right now. I need to, sort of make better decisions for myself and my loved ones and so on and so forth. And most likely, given Kanye's track record and what we see as his devotion to his family, he's probably going to pick that path, and that's going to influence his music more and more and more. In life, we are all trained actors. When we're born, we're ourselves, and then one of the first things we're taught is how to act. That's absolutely true, because just sort of functioning in normal society, and I don't necessarily think this is like a new thing, because no matter what point in human history you're always going to be pressured by some kind of social norm that you're going to have to obey. Rather than just like live in comfortably sometimes because you just kind of want to get along to get along. It's sometimes it's not worth the drama of breaking the mold, and you just kind of want to function and chill and just like, have a have a day where things are not so volatile, not so rocky. But he's absolutely right in this statement over here, because we're not always ourselves all the time, especially when it comes to being in the public eye. And Kanye is one of the few people out there who is in the public eye quite often, is in the mainstream, and seems like he's doing his best to continue to be himself without sort of worrying too much about how people are going to take what he's saying, what he's doing, so on and so forth. If you see a kid screaming at a restaurant because he feels something and can't express himself in a conventional manner, yeah, that's absolutely true. That's one of the first kind of behaviors that we try to curb when kids are acting how they authentically feel in a moment. We're telling them, stop acting that way. Stop acting how you authentically feel. And again, sometimes how you authentically feel, it's not always the time and place for it. I'm kind of reminded of the Dave Chappelle When Keeping It Real Goes Wrong sketches, because sometimes that can blow up in your face, and you have to kind of bottle that up a little bit for just a sense of self-preservation. Because if you're completely 100% real about every feeling that you have all the time without even thinking through why you feel it or what's the best way to deal with the situation, you could kind of destroy yourself. Just stop lying. Stop lying about shit. Just stop lying. That's true. I guess we could all stop lying. You will be a drop of water with the ocean as your army if you move out of fear rather than your own than on your own. Then it's just you and the money and the countless people you have to lie to and manipulate to build a man-made path that will never lead to true happiness. I think this is one of a few tweets that he has on fear. Maybe this is the only one, but I mean, it's true. Sort of moving out of fear can have its repercussions. I don't believe in the concept of an enemy. We've been conditioned to always be in competition. Stop looking for something to be and just be, which I feel like is something kind of new for Kanye because he's been a pretty competitive artist over the years, and competition is certainly a note to rap music in the rap game. And could we potentially see a side of Kanye moving forward, and maybe even a piece of evolution within this genre of music where we hit a moment where it's like, oh man, just we've totally transcended the competition and we're all just kind of creating now. Maybe it's easier for somebody to say this who's like at the top. Really, who is Kanye competing with at this point? Because even of his most popular contemporaries, he's really kind of making a sound, a genre, a vibe that is all his own, that no matter how many records Drake comes out with, no matter how many records anybody else comes out with, like, people are going to come to that Kanye record to listen to what Kanye is doing, because Kanye is not providing what a Drake or really anybody else is providing. Don't follow crowds. Follow the innate feelings inside of you. Do what you feel, not what you think. Thoughts have been placed in our heads to make everyone assimilate. Follow what you feel. Again, I'm not always a gut reaction type person, but I feel like there is certainly a point to what Kanye is saying here. Maybe to kind of tease it out by saying that, you know, I like putting thought into the things that I do. However, if you do find yourself stopping to have to think to do things, I guess stop and think why it is you're thinking. Are you thinking you want to do something, or something has to be done because you really feel that way and you care about that, and that's really where your passion lies, and that's sort of how you authentically feel about a certain situation or an option being presented to you? Or are you thinking about it? Are you pausing? Are you waiting to do a certain thing because of some kind of pressure being put on you or expectation being put on you from the outside? Again, sometimes listening to that can be a good thing. Like, hey, maybe I shouldn't murder this person because society doesn't want me to murder. But when it comes to making life decisions, when it comes to creativity, most certainly you need to be on your own wavelength. And again, that's why I kind of take a lot of what Kanye is doing and just kind of apply it simply to this idea of creativity and creation, and not trying to just apply it all super widely. You have the best ideas. Other people's opinions are usually more distractive than informative. Follow your own vision. Base your actions on love. Do things you love. And if you don't absolutely love something, stop doing it as soon as you can. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's absolutely true when it comes to especially creativity. If you're not loving what you're doing creatively, that's not necessarily a sign to give up entirely, but to change things up, alter things, make it in a way where you actually love doing it, and you're loving the process, and you're loving what it is you're making. Trend is always late, which is true. I mean, trends are always catching up with more interesting things going on the underground, which eventually bubble up when, in actuality, the thing that's trendy has been going on for a while. Be as transparent as possible. Stop setting plays. Stop playing chess with your life. Make decisions based on love, not fear. Again, there's a lot of messaging here about just letting go of your inhibitions and not worrying, which I feel like there are some people who don't necessarily have the luxury of doing that, but still, when it comes to creativity, when it comes to creation, I feel like this is a good piece of advice. This is a good piece of advice. And again, I feel like maybe in a way this is also at odds with the idea of worrying about getting credit for things. Although, again, I could be kind of teasing the wrong point out of that tweet, given that Kanye is advocating for transparency here. But yeah, I mean, more transparency at the end of the day is always good. Fear often causes people to be manipulative, 100% true. Everything you do in life stems from either fear or love. I think that's pretty true as well. Sometimes you have to get rid of everything, which is absolutely true, because distractions can really kind of pull you away from what it is you need to get done. Take it from somebody who gets a lot done, who does a lot of things. Distractions are hell. And, really, if you're distracted, maybe it's because you don't really like what you're doing, or you're not doing it as well as you could. Maybe if you focus more on what it is you're doing, or sort of kind of train yourself or challenge yourself to do it in a different way or do it better, it'll be more exciting. Let's see. Try to avoid any contractual situation where you are held back from your ideas. Yes. Again, there are probably some artists out there who don't necessarily have this luxury. However, it's easier than ever to do that, to make that decision in the internet age. It's easier than ever to make that decision in an age where you can release your own music, put it out digitally, even put it out physically if you want. You're in 100% control of getting your music out there and how it is you make whatever it is you make. As a creative, your ideas are your strongest form of currency. Yes, again, especially in the internet age where it's so easy to collaborate with other people. It's so easy to connect with other people, and you can sort of pass around and share ideas so easily and so effectively. Kanye talking about getting some tattoos, shoe stuff, and we're pretty much over here toward the end over here. So these have been Kanye's tweets so far, and I don't see any new ones over here. But those are my thoughts on what Kanye has said so far. He's saying a lot of interesting stuff that I feel like he's making a lot of fair points. And furthermore, I feel like there's just an excited and a very positive attitude that I would love to see pour through on this new album. It's been a while since I feel like I've personally heard a Kanye West who came through in a song with a message of kind of just like pure positivity, hope, and I don't know, just a greater sense of the needs and struggles of the audience that he caters to. Again, it's been a while since I feel like I've heard that Kanye. Does that mean I want another college dropout? No, absolutely not. That could and would never happen. But especially since, again, we're on a linear timeline. It's a totally different context. It's a totally different situation. Even if thematically that's something Kanye was trying to do, he'd be working with a totally different set of struggles, problems, people, and situations. So I don't know. I'm just pretty excited given everything that he's saying and everything that he's teasing. Although 7 songs? I don't know about 7 songs. Just 7 songs? Just 7 new Kanye songs? I mean, the Kid Cudi collab could be okay, but 7 Kanye songs? I'd like more than that. Although maybe they're like 7 10-minute songs or something. All right, I'm going to leave it at that, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys got something out of this video. Let me know what you think down there in the description box about all these Kanye tweets. Love you, love you, love you. You're the best forever.